Buzz. The first item is that we have indications that your landing site obliques are not in the proper position. If you will check, we think that the intermediate scale landing site oblique is stowed in the CSM Lunar Landmarks book. We think that the large scale landing site oblique is stowed in the back of the LIM Lunar Surface Map book. Over.
It has been exactly 1 calendar year since Space Force 44's only passenger, Geoff Johnston, was launched into the deepest recesses of our galaxy, never to be seen or heard from again. Now, drifting alone in space, unsure of what is happening on his home planet of Earth, and always a little bit sad and a little bit horny, Geoff makes desperate attempts to contact Earth. Will anyone answer his call? Will anyone help him get home? Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Hello?
Hello?
Who's this? It's a lady.
Are you about to show me your dick while I'm in my Zoom call? Is that what's about to happen? I'm getting dick bombed?
What? Dick bombed? What's a dick bomb?
It's a thing people do now. While we're on Zoom calls, they just hop on and show their dicks. And I've been waiting for this moment, so let's go. Let's see it.
Okay. I mean, I'm wearing a jumpsuit. It's going to take me a second.
That's fine. We've got all the time in the world. Nothing else to do.
Not to ruin the mood or the moment, but who is this? What's your name? My name's Geoff, and I'm in outer space trying to get home. Who are you?
My name's Destiny, and I think I'm over it. I'm gonna go back to chat roulette. Zoom sucks.
Wait. Destiny. I only know so many Destinies, and you might be one of the ones I know. Because I don't hang out with a lot of exotic dancers.
Why don't I believe that? You feel like somebody who definitely would hang out with quite a few exotic dancers. Not females, though, so maybe that's it. I'm in the minority being a lady.
Destino. Destiny, do you happen to have a hyphenated last name?
Perhaps, because I'm a ragey feminist.
Okay.
Herndon-De La Rosa, yes.
Destiny Herndon.
So you know me from your when? When did we meet?
This is Geoff Johnston. I'm in space now, but I used to be a part-time mediocre writer, and I wrote about you for D Magazine a few years ago, and we're kind of, I guess we're friends.
Thank God somebody finally sent you into fucking space. Is that what we do with just Earth trash now? We just shoot it because, like, fuck the universe, right? We've already screwed up the Earth, so fuck space. Take it, Geoff Johnson.
I've missed you too, Destiny. What's going on?
Not a lot, just surviving.
So yeah, I heard about this the coronavirus. So what's going on with you and your lovely husband? And man, I'm glad I didn't take my jumpsuit off now. What's going on with you and Abram and your 17 children?
And my 17 children, we're all just locked down, trying to stay sane at this point.
So I've talked to my friend Ben, who is doink or whatever, like a dual income, no kid guy in Brooklyn with just living with his girlfriend.
He's at the epicenter of it.
Yeah,
he's the triple hotspot. I caught that part.
Yes. Oh, you're familiar with my dispatches from outer space.
Yes, exactly. That's
You're the one person listening because I've been sending it to you, trying to get you to do this. So I've talked to him, and he's in Brooklyn, just him and his lady friend. And then I talked to David Hopkins, the writer man, who is in Arlington with his family. And then I talked to Jason Roberts, who is essentially the grandfather of the Bishop Arts District. But you're in your suburban home in Richardson, Texas, with your husband and four kids.
Children. Four kids. One's basically a roommate though. He's 19, so he's just like kind of an asshole roommate who eats our food. He doesn't talk to anybody. So we don't even get a tax deduction for him anymore. So I don't think he counts. But so like 3 kids and then 1 roommate. Yeah.
What is that like?
It's fucking riveting, Geoff. Every day is a new adventure. Like, here's the thing. I believe in the coronavirus and I'm wearing my mask and I'm quarantining. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. But there's a part of me that's like, maybe it's time to be a fucking patriot just so I can get out of my house. Like, somebody give me a AR-15. Is that what they're called? Like, and a snake flag. Let's do that shit. Like, I'm ready. My kids have made me a patriot because I don't know. I'd rather maybe hang out with the coronavirus at this point. It just is. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And you have a pretty cool family dynamic, though. You seem to be like one of these cool moms. And,
sure.
And like you guys seem to always be having fun, and there's never any conflict or problems.
Ever. Here's the thing: when you raise kids, that your sole purpose is not to educate them and make them like good citizens for the human race, but it's like to make them entertainers so they can entertain you. You make smart ass children. So like you're a smart ass and you're smart ass kids, and normally you get them for like 3 hours a day, and that's totally like they just burn you for 3, and it's fun. And then they go do that to other people out in the world. But then when you've made these little monsters and you're stuck inside with them all day long, and they just like savagely fucking burn you for like and they go to sleep when you go to sleep. They wake up when you wake up. I think they even stay awake when you're asleep. They're cyborgs. I don't know. It's a lot. It's just they're sitting there writing their burns out so that as soon as you wake up, they can be like, you're fat or what. I don't know, man. They're mean people, but I love them a lot. And they're very funny, mean people, which is the only way I can handle it. They're not just, they're like entertaining.
They come by it honest because, you're pretty,
yeah, so funny. Well, and that's what, so my mom FaceTimed me the other day. So my mom and stepdad are living in like their mansion with their pool in the backyard and no kids. And she called me to tell me how lucky I am for this like beautiful time with and I was like, shut up, just shut up. Like, I don't think you get to say that unless you are a human jungle gym with people on your body 24/7. And I don't have a pool. I don't know. It's just unfair. Life's really unfair right now. I hung in there for a long time. Like, I was like, okay, homeschooling, I can do that. But just like with everything in my life, I'm really motivated for the first 2 weeks. And then I'm like, oh, fuck this. I'm going to take a depression nap. And so this last week's kind of broken me. You're lucky you're out in space.
I keep hearing that. So the oldest is 19, and then what are the ages going?
I don't even know. One of them's 8. He's good. He's gotten mean lately, though. He just learned to be mean in like the last year, because his sisters teach him all the bad words. And then 11 sounds right. And then one of them's 13 for like 3 more days.
Oh wow! Are you doing
No, I asked her. I was like, "You want to do one of those stupid drive-by parades?" I don't know if you've heard about that, but that's what you do now. Is people drive by your house and just throw gifts at you, and they honk. It's really exciting. And we actually had to do one a few weeks ago for somebody, and my husband's like, he's a super introvert, so he's fine with all this. But he also gets to get out of the house and go to work still, so I think it's kind of not fair. So we go do one of these drive-by parties, and he's like, this is my type of party. Like, it lasted 3.5 minutes, and he's like, all right, happy birthday, bye. Which is how long he would like to be at a normal party that I normally would shut down, so.
That sounds pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, I know, but my 13-year-old's like, absolutely not. That's not going to happen, and I'm not doing that. And so, I mean, I feel like to get her back, I should have one done for her anyway. I should alert, like, everybody. Like, someday when she gets married, right, I'll invite all my friends to that, too, even though she doesn't know half of them. So it'll be, like, the same version, just like a pre-wedding birthday party type thing, where it'll just be neighborhood mom friends who also need to get out of their house and need some event put on their empty calendars. I'll be like, come honk at my kid and like throw Twizzlers at her or whatever.
Something else that I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you and I both, at least last time I checked, are very boring, sober people who don't drink anymore because the world can't handle how funny and brilliant and awesome we are when we're drunk, and so it's kind of unfair to do that to everyone else. So we stopped drinking so that everyone else would seem interesting in comparison. How are you with that right now?
It was unfair. It was too unfair for the world. So yeah, quarantine 1, destiny 0, 2.5 years of sobriety, went down the shitter. No, I finally tried White Claw, which is trash. I don't know why I was real excited about oh, maybe one day. It's fucking LaCroix. It's all it is. It's LaCroix. It's bullshit. I'm a little sad I fell off the wagon for that. But yeah, no, I talked to my sponsor, and here's the thing. So when I first got into, as you call it, Alcoholics Obvious, because I talked about it all the time. I was the worst anonymous alcoholic in the world. Part of it is you have to be a straight up alcoholic, positive. That's the very first step. And I always kind of struggled with that because I think I was I abused alcohol for show, but I don't know that I was a for real alcoholic, because one of the things that they say is the marker is as soon as you start drinking, you can't stop, you have this allergy. I never had that. I can have a drink and then not have another White Claw because they're trash. And so maybe that's actually what cured me of it, is White Claw. Because I was like, this is so gross. No thanks. I can have a sip and then that's it. So yeah, I talked to my sponsor and she's like, well, find out. If you got time on your hands, go figure out if you're an alcoholic and then come back and give the old college try. Because I was super into Alcoholics Obvious. I gave it 99%, but if you're not 100% convinced you're an alcoholic, then it's kind of hard. So I don't know. I guess that's the experiment right now, figuring out if I'm actually an alcoholic. And so far, I'm not doing great at it. I'm not being a good alcoholic because I'm 1, 2 drinks and then I go to bed. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
How this goes out.
It seems to be the public element, alcohol sales. From what I understand, I've seen some social media posts that alcohol sales are through the roof right now, and I've seen some sponsored ads for places that deliver alcohol. So it seems like a lot of functional alcoholics are really kicking in.
It definitely seems all the rage that everybody wants to sit around and drink by themselves. And I guess for me, another thing that made me a bad alcoholic is I really liked to be around people. I like to socialize. If there's something in my hand that goes along with it, but I don't like being sad and drinking alone. It's never really been my thing. So I don't know. We'll try my alcoholism out in the wild once the quarantine's over and see if that's what kicks it back up. I don't know that it will. Here's the good thing about AA, and nobody tells you this, but you actually work through a lot of your shit when you're in there. And so then afterwards you come out and you're kind of oh, I don't need to drink over these things because I'm kind of better. And I don't think it works for a lot of people. I think most people stay in AA, never drink again. That's why I haven't publicly, I guess I'm publicly announcing it to the 2 people who listen to your transmissions, but it's not a secret. People in my life know, I run an organization. My board knew before I did it. My sponsor knew everything. But I'm not telling a ton of people because I don't think everybody can go back out. I don't know the success rate. A lot of people probably should stay off the sauce. And I might be one of them. We're going to find out. But for now, yeah, the quarantine kicked my ass a little bit in that. Because, literally, what can you do when you're sitting around just feeling really sad? How's your sobriety going?
Good. Chewing nicotine gum.
Yuck.
Because I can't smoke up here, and it does the trick. Anytime I want a cigarette, I just chew on some nicotine gum and I'm mellow, and then I forget that I've been chewing it for several hours, and I'm like, oh, that's why I have chaos diarrhea.
Yeah, chaos diarrhea is the best. That's a good way to lose weight. Yeah, I picked up vaping 10 months after I quit drinking. And then my mom was actually the biggest cheerleader for me to go back to drinking because she hates the vaping. She hates it. And she's like, that's so much worse for you. And so then I started kind of drinking again, and I haven't quit vaping, and I feel a little guilty about it, especially with COVID, since it is a respiratory thing. There's a part of me that's that's extra stupid. That I'm lifting up my mask so I can vape on walks through the neighborhood feels pretty dumb.
You think if COVID was affected the liver, you would be drinking? Just
Well, I mean, like the alcohol would obviously kill the virus. So
clearly.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure I'm an alcoholic, but I 100% can rationalize things like an alcoholic does, because I've spent enough time in AA to realize like that's a superpower where you can rationalize all bad behavior like at all points. And
Yeah. I remember when I started going to meetings and was immediately like, well, this is, people obviously get something out of it. It works for a lot of people, but I'm not one of these people. And I don't know if we talked about this, but I remember I went to one that you were running or chairing or whatever. You had the book out, and
yeah.
you were the queen of the meeting, and you had to stop me from cross-talking.
No, you are a trash meeting attendee. Like, it was the worst meeting I've ever been in. And like my friends were like, you have to stop him from doing that. And I'm like, but he's my friend, and I don't want to make him follow any of the very basic limited rules that we have at AA. I'm not going to make him do that. But
that's like it's not conducive to the way that I receive and distribute information, which is to like have a back and forth, and you don't. That's like rule number 1. Like, you let people talk, and then you talk when you're asked to talk or when it's your turn or whatever. And I'm not like a turn-based conversationalist. Like, it just didn't work for me.
If everybody talked, you would all end up rationalizing why you should go back to drinking. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. Because somebody would be like, my kid has cancer and my mom just died. And it'd be like, you know what? You need to drink. You have a really good reason. And that was the problem. Like, even my sponsor, she's wonderful and she's still one of my best friends, but she's never been hard on me. It's always like from day one, I was like, maybe I should go drink. And she's like, all right. I mean, how does that work out for you? Go do it. And so finally, I think I got to the point where I was like, all right, I really am going to try it. I think that I can handle it. And she's like, okay, like, get back to me. You're not getting rid of me that easy. So let me know how it works out. And then I feel bad because it worked out kind of good. And I like, she didn't want to hear that. She wanted me to call her from a gutter and be like,
there's still time for that to happen.
There's still time. I mean, I can still get there. Like, I believe in myself. So, but you know what's funny is like, it's also in the back of my mind, this thought that this is really my last shot, so I better behave. And so far that's worked phenomenally and it's been great. So I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, if you can compartmentalize it and be like, this, other people, like, kind of like what you said earlier, like other people are getting back into cross stitch or baking bread, like I'm getting back to drinking, but when this is all over, I gotta put that on the shelf. Is that how you're looking at it? Or you're like, I'm going to learn in this period how to be a responsible drinker, and then I'll be a responsible drinker moving forward?
Yeah, I don't think that, because my drinking hasn't really just like picked up. Like, it's picked up from nothing for sure, but it's not like I'm binging or anything. So I don't think that for me, I'm going to be like balls to the wall. Like, when we get out of this, because usually like what I found in recovery is you basically have addictive compulsive behaviors, and the whole idea is to move them to healthy things. That's why you have so many like beefed up like affliction wearing dudes, right? Because they like
jacked up ex-alcoholics.
Yeah, I became addicted to the gym and protein shakes or whatever, and so I moved all of my just constant need for approval or whatever to work, and I got really good at work, and I just started doing and I just stayed on mission. And it's funny because whenever I'm in that mindset, when I'm working and I'm actually being a productive contributing member to society, I don't want anything to fuck that up. Like, even before I got sober, whenever I had really busy times in my career, like, I didn't want booze at all. So I think that it'll probably just go back to normal, where I'll just get addicted to work again, which I'm really excited about. I'm looking forward to having that back in my life. So this is just a Band-Aid. But the only thing that sucks is like, just like you can't be a little bit pregnant, you can't be a little bit sober, like you're either all on the wagon or off the wagon. But we'll see. I might pick it back up later. I don't know.
Well, I hope you end up wherever it's healthiest for you and your family, and then that's all I'll say about that. whatever that looks like.
You know what sucks the most is I'm super fun when I'm drinking.
Oh yeah.
But I was never an angry drunk that people didn't like. And so I think that's why it's hard, because people encourage me almost to go back to it. Like, remember how fun you were? And especially my kids, like it makes me a better mom, which is a horrible thing to say. Because like I should be like beating them with wire hangers and shit, but I'm not. We're like cooking out in the backyard and laying on blankets and looking at the moon and stuff, and I didn't do any of that when I was sober. So that definitely was a realization, like maybe I should do that when I'm just drinking iced tea or whatever it is, Topo Chicos. That's what sober people drink.
Yeah. And find like, I don't know, like can you do like melatonin gummies to mellow you out, or is it not the mellowness that is it an opposite effect, something that like gets you jazzed?
I think it's turning off my brain. Like I had somebody, are you ADD?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That didn't totally surprise me. I had somebody suggest that to me like 6 months ago. They were like, have you ever been tested for like ADD? And I was very offended by that in a weird way. I was like, fuck you, no. Like, look, I can carry on a conversation. Like, I'm not somebody who's like squirrel or anything like that. But I do think the ADHD type thing where your brain's constantly going, and it can be, it's a double-edged sword. It can make you really good at shit, but also it makes it where you can't sleep or do things like just chill out ever.
Yeah, that is its own superpower, because you can use it for good and you can get a lot of things done and you can be creative and multitask, but then you can also accidentally snap the neck of a rabbit.
This has been a super fun conversation, by the way, because I did not plan on talking about my sobriety, so thanks so much.
It's good. It's good. You have a very lovely, enjoyable sense of self-awareness that I think is insightful and self-deprecating and fun.
I'm the world's least interesting person at this point in time. I have no idea.
So do you think you think this is going to last, through the summer or like a couple of years, or what's your take on when things go back to normal, or when things pivot into a new normal, or
I think that it could have just lasted a few months, but I think dipshits are in charge, and so now this is our life now.
And actually, okay, so kind of alongside that, tandem parallel, those are my favorite words. You being pro-life feminist, the pro-life part of that sort of puts you in company with a lot of fucking dummies.
Yes.
I've noticed. And so how do you square that when you have to, work with these dum-dums that, 95% of their agenda is completely against what you know and feel to be right and true, because the thing that's most important to you is in line with some of their views. And I know you've talked about this, and that it's that abortion is a women's right issue, and all the ways that it is. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but how do you square it with working with all of these fucking garbage demons in the state and federal government?
I don't work with the garbage demons, and I don't vote for the garbage demons, even though I'm supposed to. So I think that that's a big part of it. Is my organization is basically trying to carve out a third way that's actually consistent and truly pro-life and makes sense. So when you have somebody who claims to be the most pro-life president ever, or you have state legislators who run on this, pro-life platform all the time, but then they're the very first fucking ones to throw the elderly and immunocompromised to the sharks. I mean, like that's when life ends. Like those are truly the pro-birthers. Like I understand why pro-choice people call them that. I totally do. And I think they're right to call out that inconsistency. And my group, we're pro-life womb to tomb. So we believe that obviously the unborn child is the weakest and most vulnerable member of the human family, but that doesn't mean that people outside of the womb, like, fuck you, you're on your own. Like, it should never be that way. And so right now in our current climate, the most vulnerable are the elderly and the immunocompromised. And when we're putting profits above people, like, how are you any better than the abortion industry or anybody else that you demonize and oppose constantly? And so I think it's just calling out bullshit. Like, I'm just getting older and really cranky and, like, fucking get off my lawn about it. And I don't like that, because usually I'm a pretty Pollyanna person and pretty happy and
Clearly.
And a bridge builder and all that. Yeah, but it's just, there's only so long you can hear people say these things. And I got in a world of shit last year when I voted for Beto O'Rourke for Texas, not for president, but for Texas. He was running against Ted Cruz. And I told one of my pro-life friends I was going to vote for him. And he was like, all right, do it, like, vote for him, but don't tell anybody. And, like, as soon as those words washed over me, I'm like, I'm going to write an op-ed for the Dallas Morning News. Like, I don't do stuff that I can't tell anybody. And so I basically wrote an op-ed just explaining how, yeah, he might be pro, like, killing babies up to the first 3 months of their life or whatever. I mean, like, he's extremely pro-choice. But guess what? He's also one of the few legislators who's talking about the infant and maternal mortality rate among women of color, and actually talking about support systems that when a woman calls me and she's like, hey, I just found out I'm pregnant, I don't know what to do. I'm not like, well, hold on, let me find out what Ted Cruz thinks about your right to have an abortion. Like, fuck that. No, I'm like, what do you need? What real services do you need? And so when I started looking at these, horrible pro-abortion Democrats, well, guess what? A lot of them are actually supporting policies that make it so that women can choose life. And everybody in the world hated me for doing that. But I think it's a conversation that needed to be had. And I think it's something where these people who want to, proudly wear the label of pro-life and get votes off of it, they actually have to be pro-life. Because otherwise it's just this ideological circle jerk where everybody's just pledging blind allegiance to people. And that's what we see happening right now, especially with Trump. It's disgusting the way that he totally devalues human life, and has for most of his fucking existence. So
just the way he talks about the fatalities and the confirmed cases of coronavirus that I've seen, he just talks about the numbers. We need to get the numbers down. Like, you're talking about people, motherfucker. You're not talking about, an equation. But more to your point about, the bleeding heart, baby killers providing more social services for people to make the decision to keep their child. I think that's always been
their clump of cells, Geoff, not their child.
What?
To keep their clump of cells. You messed up. You said their child. It's their cells.
Clump of cells. Yeah. That's always been, I don't think my understanding of abortion as like a white male has evolved much since I was 15, but, being pro-choice to me has always been, part of being pro-choice. And it's not just the semantics of choice over life, is like, you can choose to have the child, you can choose life, like allowing people to have pro-choice. And now we're going to get into an argument that you'll win because you have this argument all the time. But, being pro-choice is not saying we need to just kill all the babies. We just need to kill some of the babies. And but some of them live. Some of them get to live,
Well, I mean, I think we should do the same with the coronavirus. Some people get to live, and I get to get my roots done. Isn't that really what matters at the end of the day? Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I think that for far too long, Republicans have focused on cutting off supply, but they're not addressing demand. And at the end of the day, I was 16 and pregnant, and I didn't get to be on MTV, which blows, because that show wasn't out yet. But I know the desperation that a woman feels. Like, it's terrifying. And so for me, the only reason I was able to choose life is because of privileges I had, that I had health insurance, that I had a family that was willing to support me and house me and not kick me out. And so many women don't have that. And so I think that's what I always challenge my pro-choice friends. Like, if you're truly pro-choice and not just pro-abortion, then make sure that you're doing stuff that actually makes choosing life feasible for women. And acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of women who do feel good about their decision to terminate, but most of them came from a place of privilege to begin with, where they could have made other choices, and that's the one they landed on, was to terminate. There are so many women out there, though, that feel like they have no other choice but to terminate because they just can't afford it. There was a Guttmacher study that said that it's somewhere in the 60th percentile, women make that decision because of financial constraints. So that's not a choice. So I think there's plenty of ways that we can work together to make sure that women actually do have choice, and we're addressing the demand side, not just the supply side. And I don't know, I think that we're just in a current climate where everything is so fucking politicized, and in our attempt to humanize the unborn, right, like pro-lifers often dehumanize people on the other side. And I just think that's really shitty, because women and children are the ones who fall through the cracks. And then at the same time, you've got these like quote unquote pro-life people who are doing just insanely on pro-life stuff. We actually just came up with a graphic that we're going to be putting on merchandise for our shop that says Raytheon kills children. So do you know what's going on? Like, Raytheon's, I think we have one of the headquarters here in Dallas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be really excited to have that on a tote bag at like Sprouts. Somebody who works there sees it. But, you know, there's this huge arms trade where they're selling like bombs to the Saudis, and they're using it to blow up buses full of children and weddings and all types of stuff where there's civilian casualties and a ton of children who are dying. And Congress has tried to stop this 3 different times, and the most pro-life president ever has, you know, put a hold on that and like allowed them to fucking sell bombs to the Saudis to bomb children. Like, but yet this guy gets to call himself pro-life. So even if we're just part of this little shrieking feminist minority that's yelling and calling bullshit on it, like, I don't know, hopefully it adds something to the conversation and some people start listening, because to be truly pro-life, we have to care about all lives. And I think that this pandemic has shown us who actually does and who doesn't.
And I just want to put in there that anybody that might be hearing you say things that might sound like they agree with a pro-choice platform exclusively, you're drinking again.
Yeah, let them know. I want Repro Action to tweet that out real quick so that everybody knows I'm drinking again.
But you've got, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, I think this is why I have, you know, my problems with the message, but I do have some respect for what you do. Not a lot, but I do. It's a more nuanced conversation, and I like those conversations beyond just black and white stuff. That when you look at it, even in black and white, it's so transparent how much bullshit there is there. And that's why you're one of my favorite politically active people, because you remind me that it's not just, you know, MSNBC versus Fox. It's whoever calls you first.
It's whoever calls me first. And as a feminist, I mean, my goal in life is to gain the respect of white males without uteruses. So that means a lot to me.
I know it is, and that's why I said it. I don't mean it, but I said it so you'd feel better about yourself as a woman.
Add it to like my LinkedIn. No, I've won over one more white male podcaster. Fuck yeah. Right.
So, I mean, are you and your husband thinking about having any other kids?
Hey, Geoff, I've got to go. I just had an incredibly heavy period start, and there's just a massive gush of blood spewing forth from my vagina right now. So I'm gonna have to go.
Okay, but real quick, do you have? I don't know exactly how all that works, but do you have a quick minute to maybe?
No, there's so much blood. I'm basically swimming in the blood right now.
I just need to. If you could help me get home, I would really appreciate it. If you could just text your congressperson.
Trash garbage needs to stay in the sky. So it was nice knowing you while you were on Earth.
Destiny. Destiny, Herndon-De La Rosa, Wayans.
Swoosh, swoosh. That's my period blood. Swoosh. That's the sound. Pump, pump, swoosh.
Well, that was my friend Destiny Herndon-De La Rosa. She is a badass, pro-life, feminist, but mostly a badass. Go to newwavefeminist.com if you want to learn more about the stuff that's important to her. Please do me a favor if you would, and share this podcast with your friends and your family, your neighbors, your youth group, whoever you think will enjoy it, or whoever you think will really hate it. We are the passenger pod on most of your favorite social channels and YouTube. So look us up. Until next time, transmitting distress calls to Earth from Space Force 44. My name is Geoff. I am the passenger, saying thank you for listening, now more than ever.